Hi YouTube. So my name is George from George Photography, and I was trying to edit some of my Final Cut videos that I started making recently, and my computer's telling me that my storage is out of space. Now you see, I've got the latest Apple MacBook Pro 15 computer. It's quite thin and really extremely portable. The only problem is that the storage unit is only 512 gigabytes inside, and I can't change it because they no longer give you the option to do that. I'm sure that quite a few of you have found this particular problem before as well. So in order for you to be able to continue and run your Final Cut Pro successfully without any hassles and problems of your storage being used on your Apple computer, internal storage, for that I would suggest using an external storage. Now this particular one here comes with a case as well, and it's 4 terabytes. Now look at the comparison when I compare my hard drive with my Apple computer. See the reason why they wouldn't be placing these inside. Now on this particular tutorial I'll be guiding you through how to set up your Final Cut Pro to run the library, which means all the videos and everything, on an external storage. So stay put and I will show you just how to do that.
Okay, so I plugged in the hard drive onto the computer. I'm using an Apple MacBook Pro at the moment, and the whole idea behind this, once again, is that these new computers are coming down with basic 256 gigabytes or 500 gigabyte storage, which is really limited, especially if you keep all your pictures on your computers as well. And rendering and creating movies or recording movies is just going to take a lot of storage out of your computers. So you might want to use an external hard drive entirely running Final Cut Pro on it, and therefore not using any storage space available out of your computer. Now remember though, if you do leave your hard drive at home, or if you lose your hard drive, all your videos that you kept on that will be also lost. Therefore backing up that same hard drive is also very important. Now I'm going to show you quickly what happens when you run Final Cut Pro for the first time, which does not have at all a library created. So it will ask you to create one, and once that's created on the Apple computer, I'm going to show you how to swap it over to create one on an external hard drive. But before that, you have to set up your hard drive. You have to make it ready. Now there are two options here. You either format the hard drive and use it entirely for the purpose of the Final Cut Pro and have it individually used only for that, or you can use an existing hard drive, which I'm doing, a 4 terabyte hard drive, which is extremely useful for pretty much everything I'm using it for, and not having to carry 2 or 3 hard drives with me. I just do one major hard drive, which is 4 terabytes, and use it for individual purposes like my photographs or Final Cut Pro, or even keeping my raw videos and my raw pictures on that particular disk. I just need to make sure it's backed up and I won't lose it ever. Now, as you can see here on the computer, my hard drive is already connected. In order to format it on an Apple computer, you would have to find a disk utility application, which can be done in 2 different quick ways. One of them is to go to the Spotlight search function and type in disk utility, which will find this particular application for you, so you're ready to click and open it. Or you can just simply move the mouse onto the bottom of your screen and find your launch pad, or you could instead pinch the trackpad with 5 fingers, comes up with the launch pad, and I know that my disk utility application is located in my others folder, so I'm going to simply go there and find it. Although remember that you can select it and you can move it around and place it wherever you want on your screen, so you're able to use it even faster in the future. I could even highlight it and just simply move it down and put it onto my dock, which is in case here. But because you don't use this application very often, there's really no point putting it there, so I'm just going to highlight, click on it, and remove it, dump it over here. It doesn't delete it, it just removes the shortcut. So once again, I'm just going to go and click on it, opens. Now it can see my 2 hard drives, which is the basic Macintosh HD, which is built in. You don't want to format that one. And then you can highlight the Lacy, which is the brand of my hard drive. You can see here that it's 4 terabytes big. I already used 2.1 out of it, so I've got 1.9 to use for Final Cut, which is just enough and perfect to use. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Erase, which is going to give me the option to name it. Now I'm happy with the name, but in your case, if you would like to set it up as a new hard drive, you will be able to name it as Final Cut Pro hard drive or My Video hard drives, up to you which name you want to use. But within the format region here, there are 3 points I would like to pull out for you. First of all, macOS Extended Journal is only useful in case you would primarily and only want to use this particular hard drive on your Apple computers. Not on Windows, not on Linux, only on Apple computers. It will only be read and used within the Apple interfaces. However, there are two other options I would like to highlight. One of them is the MS-DOS in brackets says FAT, which is the primary name called FAT32 used to be, but now it's MS-DOS FAT. This particular one is extremely useful if you would like to run this hard drive by Apple computers, and if you would like to plug it in at some stage into a Windows computer interface as well. But do note that in this particular format, you cannot transfer any files that are bigger than 4 gigabytes. Simply, you won't be able to do it. In that case, you would have to format it in exFAT, which will allow you files bigger than 4 gigabytes individually as well to be transferred, but it will be a little bit slower as well, the transfer rate compared to MS-DOS FAT, or even slower than ever compared to macOS Extended Journal. Now, I'm only using this hard drive on my Apple computer, and I'm not planning to use it on any Windows interfaces, so I'm happy to keep it on macOS Extended Journal, and I'm not going to format it. But in your case, if you are formatting it, just press erase, it will do the job, it's finished, done, and you're ready to use it. Now, what I'm going to do right away is open the Final Cut Pro. Let's say that the format has been done, or if you're using an existing hard drive, you don't need to format it, so you skip all the past 5 minutes having explaining you how to format it and jump over to this particular step here. So I'm going to access my Final Cut Pro, asking me if I would like to create a brand new hard drive. Remember, I'm using Final Cut Pro 10.3.4, so you have to be around this particular level or version in order for this to work exactly the same. Now, on here, there are no libraries, and I have to create one. So I can either create a new library with clicking over here, or I could locate an existing one if I would already have one, but I would have to locate it. Now, just think about this. This is extremely useful. If you have a computer that's being used by multiple people, these people could technically plug in their own individual hard drives with their own individual libraries and select it and use it on that particular one computer's Final Cut Pro with their own individual hard drive. So let's say I visited my friend, I've got my hard drive with me, but not the computer, so I would like to do some work. I will plug it into his existing Final Cut Pro computer and select my library from my hard drive, and I will be able to run it just fine as I will be running it at home. So I can do some editing, I can do some work if I'm staying there at my friend for an extended period of time. If not, just go home and do it there. Obviously, it's easier on your own computer. But in this case, I have to choose New, and it's asking me if I would like to create a new library. So I'm going to call this Mac Pro, I don't know, 15-inch. MacBook Pro 15-inch, and I'm going to locate and place this particular save onto the movies folder on this particular computer. So I'm going to click Save, and there you go. It shows here on the right top hand corner that now I'm working in my MacBook Pro Macintosh HD hard drive. At the moment, I only stored 173 kilobytes, not a lot, just for creating these particular files. And over here on the left top hand corner as well, you can see this particular hard drive storage location. Furthermore, you can also go to your Finder and perhaps go to your Movies folder. And there you go. I've got my library, which is Mac Pro 15 located, and it was created now at 256, as you can see here as well, just recently created. The 173 kilobytes also matches the 173 kilobytes over here on the screen. Now, let's say that you would like to change this over to a hard drive, and the simple reason for that is because, as I mentioned before, these hard drives are coming down with extremely slow, small hard drive spaces. So basically, they are estimate to be 256 or 512 gigabytes, really low storage equivalent to what we used to have before. And you can't even change them. Like, you can't open the computer and you can't go buy a bigger storage unit and just simply plug it in and use it, because they're all on the motherboard. They're fixed. You can't really change them. You have to buy the computer that way. So in that particular case, if you're running out of space, then you will be able to plug in an external hard drive, which we just formatted or didn't, which in my case is already plugged in, and you will be able to create a library that's sitting on that particular hard drive. So let's see how you do that. You're going to move the mouse onto the Final Cut Pro application, and you go to File, and you say New. So select New, and you're going to go over to Library. So I'm going to create a new library. And I'm going to name this library as Lazy Final Cut Pro, FCP. And it's very important to select where you want to save it. So I'm going to save this into my Lazy hard drive which is connected here. Very important. So now once I click save, you will notice here on the left top hand corner that there are two libraries now, MacBook Pro 15 and Lazy Final Cut Pro. And if you look on the right top hand corner here as well, I can find the Lazy name plus the another 173 kilobytes which are located and placed onto this particular hard drive. Now, to double check that it has been created, we can go to Finder and scroll down to Lazy. And then here we're going to be able to locate the new library which is on my hard drive. If I would eject this particular hard drive, I would not be able to work on it. And you would be able to also, if you ejected it, it's not allowing you basically because it's being used by this program. In order to eject it, I would have to exit from the Final Cut Pro, and only then you will be able to exit from it. But the point is that now I can run on this particular library and I can create projects. When you import a movie, you have to select in which library you're importing it to. So then you place it in this particular library, and then that's where you're working from. And the storage location, everything is, or as you can see on the right side, in that particular library. Now, if you would like to not use your hard drive anymore, the built-in one, then you can easily remove it from the list. However, I would suggest keeping it there in case you don't have the hard drive with you, but you've got your cameras and your GoPros with you, and you would like to import and start working. You don't have to create a new library. You just have one that you're ready to use. But in case you would like to remove it, it's right mouse click and close library Mac Pro 15. Now remember that you haven't deleted it yet. You just removed it from the list. If you would like to still see it where it is, it will be Finder, and you go to movies where I know I placed it, and it's still here, and it's still using that particular storage, right? So if you would like to delete it, then you would have to right click and say move to trash, and now you've technically deleted your Final Cut Pro library with all of its content from this particular hard drive, so it's not using any more space. So if you're really struggling with space, then you shouldn't be keeping any, but again, it is useful if you want to do some quick editing. But again, if you don't have space, it's going to be difficult. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how to create new libraries and how to start using them. But just for a moment, I'm going to import one movie so you can see that it's actually working. Okay, so in order to demonstrate you that this library from the hard drive on the Final Cut Pro 10 actually works, we're going to import a movie I just placed onto the desktop just for this particular purpose, and then we're going to see how much space it takes away and uses from that particular library. So I'm going to go to the menu called File, and I'm going to click on Import Media. The shortcut is Command L, so I'm going to click Media Import. I'm going to find on the desktop a video, which is I think this one here. Yep, that's the one. It's just a little video from a car I recorded with my gimbal. Now on the right side of the screen, it's asking me if I would like to edit to an existing event, or I would create one. So I'm going to create a new event. So whenever you add new project, you would like to create new events so they have their own names. Otherwise, on the left side over here, you will notice that it will place it in this particular event. That's what it wants to do. But no, you want to create a new one, and I'm going to name it wine tasting, right? And you can either decide to leave the file in place where you've taken it from, in this case on the computer, or I can just copy it to the library. It's up to you really. It just creates a duplicate if you copy it to the library, but I can just leave it in place and work with it, and only the end of the video will be saved onto the computer itself or on the hard drive itself. There's no point really copying it. But if you are using it from a different source, like a memory card, for example, and you're importing it directly from there, you would like to copy it, because then you just place a duplicate onto that particular storage unit. So looking down here, everything looks fine. I'm going to choose Import Selected. So it's going to go ahead and import it for me. It's quite a small, short video, so imported it right away, but normally it will take a bit longer here. You will notice the churning away the notices, but for now it doesn't, because it's a very short video. So the video is here. It's not very long, but you notice how I created a new project here. So now if my project will be here, I will be able to start working with it. Although remember, when you create a new project, you go to File, New, and Project. However, let's just quickly have a look at how much this particular storage takes. So I go to my library, and it will come up on the right side here with all the information I need to know about the storage. However, you might not be able to see this if it's hiding because you don't have this button here enabled. See, this is what you might see. So in this case, you have two options. Either go to File and Library Properties, which will open the right side, or you can just ignore that option, File and Library Properties, and go ahead and click onto this button here, which will open the inspector. So inspector looks at files that you're selecting, these ones, and it will show you the content. And it's taking 367 kilobytes out of my computer at the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and locate where this library is. It's basically on the lazy hard drive. It's right here. That's the one I'm working with at the moment. And show package content will show you the files that I've created. So you've got 4.10.18, which is the today's date, and the wine tasting that I just created there. And right click, and I can see the information, what amount of storage it records. So 182 megabytes is this particular one video that I just used. So there you go, original media and rendered files as well. I haven't really rendered anything yet, so I haven't really created the project. But that's the proof there that it's now using the storage from my particular hard drive. I will not be able to eject this hard drive because I'm using it currently, but if I would exit, be able to go to my lazy hard drive and eject it, and then that's it.
Okay, so that was it on how to set up your library from the Final Cut Pro to run on an external storage. Now, remember, if you do like the video, give me a thumbs up. That just helps others to see the video as well. And if you would like to receive notifications on any other updates I'm going to be uploading with regarding travel photography and tutorials on various computers, then hit subscribe. My name is George from George Photography.